So I'll start by saying that I promise you that I will not deliver every single episode in my car. However, I do spend a lot of time in my car, mostly because I live far from pretty much everything, and also because I have several kids who need to be places, just like I do. Anyway, as I look for a parking space, I do want to share my thoughts on my work and my offering to you. First of all, my offering is really an artistic expression. I consider myself an intuitive artist. Now, I do have a background in art. My grandmother was an artist, and I remember going to her house growing up, and she had a room that was dedicated to her art. And I learned how to do oil painting and pastels and drawing and all kinds of lovely things. And then when I went to college, I actually majored in design and I minored in art, studio art. Occasionally, I will produce something that I find beautiful, but most of that work is now 3D in terms of, let's say, knitting. However, I do offer my art mostly to people I love, to, myself, first of all, right? Oh, I love these little socks, so I'm going to knit myself a pair of socks. Or to a family member. I rarely put my art out there for people to purchase or to see. This is quite different. In addition to being an intuitive artist in which I am doing a one-on-one session, I'm really working for my client to help them align with who they are. This particular offering that I'm creating with this show is more or less a creative flow of who I am bringing through in an expression of what I do in an artistic way. And that artistic expression may or may not resonate with you. And so if the style doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. And if it does, wonderful. I do want you to be open to hearing the message regardless of the style. The other thing I want to say is, as you know, viewing art is quite subjective. And I remember as a design student putting my work up on the board, and that was the time that people would use to critique one another. And I didn't necessarily want to hear the criticisms that weren't super constructive, right? Oh, you should do it this way, or maybe there could have been a little bit more of that. I could do that, but ew, that's ugly. So I will also say that as a human being who can reach these higher realms of consciousness in which I'm so connected to the divine and all is well, I have human feelings. And so sometimes those human feelings can be a little bit sensitive. So I'm about to park. I'm actually parked. I'm going to turn off my car. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about this idea of channeling. And so I just want to invite you into my office, and at some point I will invite you into my home, but not today. I do need to fold some clothes first and get them off the couch and make it a little bit more comfortable for guests, right? So anyway, like I said earlier, I wanted to share with you information about channeling. And why this is important is because many times when we are looking at an intuitive, we often believe that that person has more information than I do, the regular person, right? And in some regards, perhaps that's true, but in many ways, they're just a person who is utilizing a skill that everyone has. So I want to make that very clear. What I do in my work as an intuitive is I consciously tap into a realm that allows me to be as clear as I possibly can be as I bring forth information for whoever, my client or, you, right? However, I don't know anything more than you do. So what I want to be clear about is that when we are channeling information, we are simply allowing ourselves to be in alignment with whatever is out there with consciousness and clarity. What separates a everyday human being from a channel? Not much. The everyday human being, as my mom reminded me once, is a channel. We are divine beings in expression in a human form, right? So everything we do, everything we are is channeling the divine. It's just, it may not look so divine. So in a more conscious way, I have learned to bring forth information in which I have carefully tried as best I can to remove any opinions or thoughts of lower frequencies, let's say. I do hear my own judgment as the information comes through, but I also very clearly feel the energetic frequency of love and non-judgment as it comes through. So I just want to kind of clarify how I work. And as an intuitive artist, which is what I was talking about earlier, this is just simply me opening up to the flow of information and bringing it through. And if you resonate, great. Perhaps there was something in you that already knew this information, that already had the little aha, this seems to make sense for me. But it's not about me leading you and taking you to the places that you go, whoa, what is this person talking about? Now, that's not to say that you will always go, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. And there will be times that you may go, what is she talking about? I say that all the time. What am I talking about? I'm kind of rambling here, like now. So nonetheless, let's play this game and recognize that I am just bringing information through. There is nothing more than that. I'm human. I have intuition. You're human. You have intuition. Use it. This is part of your own empowerment, is to start using your own intuition to go, hey, this person resonates and this person doesn't. This information resonates, this doesn't. That's really the beginning of stepping into your own power. So with that, we'll talk next time that it feels like a time I want to sit down and chat. All right. One of the things I like about bringing my dog to the office is that she gets to tell me when she's ready for a walk. And now is one of those times. So we are out enjoying the crisp, cool weather and the smells of the field and the sounds of the neighborhood. As we do so, I want to share with you a little bit about this idea of being a mystic. I want to go to a very simplistic definition of mysticism. In this definition, it's simply someone who believes in the apprehension of spiritual truths that are beyond the intellect. So if you believe that there are some spiritual truths that can be obtained by people in some way, that are beyond the intellect, that aren't easily explained, let's say, by science at this time, then you are a mystic. Another definition is someone who seeks through contemplation to unite with Source or the divine. What is your definition of Source or the divine? When I was little, one of my most memorable moments was I had a strong knowing when my mom described God as, each one of us as being our own God, of being God in some way, that felt kind of strange and big. But instead, this knowing and feeling and experiencing of God as pure love and light really resonated with me. Now, I'm not telling you this should be or is your definition of divine or source. It's mine. And if you are interested in uniting with the divine, with, for me, love, with light, with consciousness, then by definition, you too are a mystic. So the question is, what is the value of being a mystic in today's age, right? We walk our dogs, we take our ailing parents to the doctors, we run errands, we try not to leave our carbon footprint on the world. And yet there's this aspect of ourselves that we are keenly aware of. And as I see it, this aspect keeps arising, and it's urging us to look a little bit closer. It's inviting us in to discover, what does mysticism mean to you? What does spirituality mean to you? What is it about the unseen truths that are resonating in you? Now, in all honesty, I don't have the so-called right answers. I have lots of information that I just tap into, I guess is the word. And you do too. The question is, do you listen? Do you pay attention to what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what's resonating with you? And if you do you act on it? So professionally, I act on my knowing because I am an intuitive, and people pay me to be mentored or to give them a service and do a reading for them, and where they can ask questions and such. But does that mean that I put away my mysticism when I'm making dinner? Does that mean that I'm not seeking to unite with the divine? I think that it's easier to think that we are not mystics when we're doing our dishes or walking our dog or all those mundane things. But the truth is, we are ever uniting, consciously or not, with love, with the divine, because it's who we are. So maybe this week you take some time to explore the word mysticism for yourself, to look it up online, to contemplate on it, to draw a picture of what it might mean to you, whatever comes to you. Have a conversation with a friend. And then start to ask yourself, inwardly or intellectually, am I a mystic? Do I see myself as one? Now, I'm not saying you should. It's just a question. And it's a question that keeps arising for me again and again and again, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because what I see is there are so many unconscious mystics waking up, ready to learn more about who they are, ready to start to develop their own gifts. And I believe that not only are we doing this as a collective, but how it becomes much more powerful is when we do it as individuals. So, have fun with this. Play, explore, allow your mysticism. I want to summarize this particular episode with a few last points. And what I want to emphasize is just how special you are, just how unique you are. I want to emphasize that whether you can write or draw or dance, that you are an artist, in your own right, because you're constantly creating your life through your beingness, through your experiences. I also want to say that I don't care if you use the word or even like the word channeling. Again, channeling is who we are. We're channeling this personality through us. We're channeling anger through us. We're channeling, inspiration through us all the time, whatever that happens to be in that moment. So given that we are in this together, we can start to recognize what is it that we are channeling and how is it impacting others. And finally, to really look at this possibility that you too are a mystic. And not that I even care about that word. Sometimes we can get so caught up in the words and, well, what exactly does this mean? And what if I don't believe in that? I'm not inviting you to believe in anything that would really make you uncomfortable. I'm inviting you to play with the possibility that you have far more power, far more capacities, far more gifts than you perhaps recognize. And if you are recognizing them, perhaps you just haven't had anybody who said, I see you and I believe in you. And that's what I want to be able to do for you. So whether you're at the part of the journey where you're saying, who am I and what are my gifts and is there more to me? Is there more to life? Or if you are in the part that says, yeah, I know that I have these gifts. What do I do with them? How do I share them? How do I really impact my own life? So in this show, my intention is to not only keep encouraging you to do that, to keep believing in what you are bringing through, but to demonstrate how I'm doing it, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, not so that you can follow it, just so you can say, hey, I resonate with that, or, oh, I tried that once, it didn't work. That's funny that she really messed that one up. So whatever it looks like, it doesn't matter to me as long as we get to enjoy it together. And I really hope that you start to feel the resonance of my words, not because I want you to believe in anything I have to say per se in particular, but because I want you so much to believe in yourself. And I hope to work with you in such a way that we can enjoy our journey together as we come into our own power.